for the most vulnerable. It seems to me like there is kind of a grand like awakening where people are going, oh, this is much more serious and more pervasive than we even knew. And I think we're seeing that across the board.
I'm Spencer Hall. I've been sitting in for Don Shafer on the Conversation Lab. We've been talking to Naomi and Bronia from the Jellyfish Project. If you want to get involved, you can reach them on Facebook at the Jellyfish Project or online at thejellyfishproject.ca. Yeah, can you tell me a bit about Rock the Climate?
So of course we called it Rock the Climate because, again, we really think music has always been connected with revolution throughout the ages. And as we transform society, music ends up kind of being something that keeps the momentum going. So we wanted to really communicate, that a big part of our MO, if you will, is to always be bringing the power of music to the climate movement. So the campaign itself, it's actually, because we got the charitable status, we've never really done a major fundraiser before. Every year we have a great tournament, except for sadly in 2020 and probably not in 2021, but we normally have this basketball tournament, 3-on-3 basketball tournament. That's a great little fundraiser, and it offers an opportunity for a lot of the the community that originally built up the Jellyfish Project to come back together and connect and help us sort of spread the message and build up the community of people who care about this stuff. So we haven't had that fundraiser for a while, but we just got the charitable status. And of course, one of the main reasons to get charitable status is to help diversify. Oh, sorry, I just saw a little text box. Help diversify our funding streams, so that we're more resilient going forward. And with charitable status, you can give tax receipts. So we said, okay, let's organize this fundraiser. So what we did is we reached out to some of our advisors and friends and community and said, can you help us with this fundraiser? Can you become a team? Can you donate? Can you offer something that is a prize? So we set a goal of $25,000 in a 3-month long campaign. And like I said, it's our first peer-to-peer fundraising campaign ever. And I'm pretty pleased to say that we have about 11 days left, but we're so close to our goal. We're almost at about 85% right now.
That's awesome.
So just in a few more days is your last chance to win some awesome prizes. I'm going to list them here because
I was about to say, I'm like, what kind of prizes do we have?
Yeah, they're pretty cool. So one, as I mentioned, we were really inspired by Seth Klein's book, A Good War, Mobilizing Canada for the Climate Emergency. Mm-hmm. So we roped him into agreeing to do a 20-minute virtual conversation with That's one awesome. Of our winners, which, he's going to sit down and just talk to whoever that winner is. So we're really grateful for him stepping up to the plate for that. Similarly, our two main presenters, Laura and Pat of the band Carmana, they're going to do a free 20-minute virtual concert, with someone who wins. So, that'll be pretty awesome. And whoever wins, they can invite their family and friends and then have this nice little, customized, concert from Carmana members. We also have some online concert ticket packages available. There's a really cool initiative called Side Door. And I think they really sort of advanced during the COVID times as a way to provide like a platform for musicians and other creators to connect directly with audiences, in a safe way in COVID times. So they have a bunch of different virtual concerts. So we have some tickets for that. And then we just love all of these different books and we want more people to read them. So that's the rest of our prizes is Seth Klein's book, again, A Good War, Mobilizing Canada for the Climate Emergency. Mm-hmm. Another excellent book by a woman named Ellen Kelsey, science communicator. It's called Hope Matters, Why Changing the Way We Think is Critical to Solving the Environmental Crisis. It's excellent if you ever want to Google her name. She's got a lot of great content out there and interviews. But it's just, again, touching on there's a reason for hope. Like here are some great examples and why you should have hope as opposed to a sort of empty hope of, well, hopefully things will get better.
Fingers crossed.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I'll just say there's two more books. Another one again on the Hope Train, Commanding Hope, The Power We Have to Renew a World in Peril by Thomas Homer Dixon. And then, Naomi Klein just came out with an excellent book and we couldn't, even though we have her brother on the list, we had to include this as a prize as well. It's called How to Change Everything, The Young Human's Guide to Protecting the Planet and Each Other. And that's a unique one on the list because it's any kid, 10 and up, as well as adults can get a lot of inspiration from that book.
That's awesome. I want to read that book.
Yeah. Well, donate and maybe you'll win.
I would love a young person's guide on how to do that. No, I think it's great. And especially as we've talked about, it's changed, exponentially. Even I imagine since you guys started the Jellyfish Project. I mean, just last night I was checking out this, changing the way that we think is I think crucial. But I was checking out these things called passive houses.
Yes.
They're so cool.
So cool.
Just changing up how we insulate and
I'm going to totally jump in because I get really excited about passive houses, and it happens to be that my partner is a passive house consultant. So definitely that wears off. But one thing that's really cool about passive house, two things I want to say. One is that it really represents the principle of conserve first. So a big thing that we are trying to, a challenge in the climate movement and environmental crisis is that just humans seem to have this desire, or maybe it's, the way our economy is set up, that we just want to keep trying to innovate our way out of the problems that maybe innovation got us into in the first place. So rather than, like renewable energy, that's important, and all these different kind of technological advances that will increase the efficiency of different systems, mechanical systems we have, that's all important. But the thing about passive houses, first, you completely reduce the demand for energy that you have in the first place. So I am aware of passive houses where literally they don't need a heating system, and that's in Canada. The other thing is that passive houses actually were born in Canada.
Really?
There's a fellow. He lived in, I believe, Saskatchewan, and he was like, I'm going to experiment to see how I can create a home in this environment that doesn't have that huge energy demand. So he innovated this way back in the 70s or 80s. Yeah. And it was incredible. But it didn't get the uptake that it deserved in Canada because people they can't even conceive of the idea that you could build a house in these kind of conditions and not require energy. We still, in the building industry, have a really old school concept of what a home is. Too often the narrative is about, okay, we've done something bad by making this amazing world of convenience, and now we have to regress back to the old days.
Absolutely.
And go technologically backwards, go backwards in terms of our enjoyment. And really, the real story is, guess what? In the example of a passive house, that's your most comfortable house. Exactly. That's going to be your highest quality, beautiful acoustic experience. You're going to have a better home environment in a house that is designed to be energy efficient, really comfortable. And you're also not going to be ruining your health by having all of these, either toxic materials in the first place. Yeah. Or just constantly, allowing that kind of pollution in. So we're trying with the Jellyfish Project to also tell that story so that it's not about I think for too long, one of the mistakes in the environmental movement is to focus on, first of all, that you should feel kind of guilty.
We need to stop
using
people.
guilt as a motivator. Yeah. Which we've found in terms of human psychology actually is not effective. It doesn't work.
Either is fear. And there's a lot of, but what we're trying to instill in the students that we see is hope, and we're calling it hope through action. And you said something earlier, Spencer, that was exactly what that means. And you said it was about being active, activating oneself so that you aren't filled with despair.
That was also a Sabura Berman thing where she said that she feels when she engages, she feels less despair, and that resonated with me because even in everyday situations, if I feel scared, there was this thing that I saw the other day where it was, it's going to be easier some days and it's going to be harder some days, but the only way to get there is to start. And that's, I think it's a great message. We all need to start somewhere. It doesn't, if you've been composting this whole time, that's great. If there's not that great programs where you are, well, why not?
Yeah.
Figure out
what can we do?
What's the and you don't need to be a city councilor or, a member of the NDP party or the Liberal caucus or whatever. Like, you're just, at the end of the day, we're all people living on this earth, and we're all going to be affected by climate change. That's how it is. So I think that it's not so much, it seems, again, to bring up Suburban Mormon again. She was talking about, I can't say her name, I'm so sorry. But she was talking about how she had to do a presentation in Alberta, I think it was, or one of the, and she said it was a very hostile environment. It's almost like a politicized issue, which it has become. And she basically, I guess, looked at her notes and was like, all right, so what are we going to do? Like, we didn't know, when you guys were picking your careers, we didn't know. And now we do. And I think that in order to kind of, this is my own personal opinion, in order to kind of combat that, we need to let these people that are working and are supporting their families through this energy source, we need to let them know that they're not going to be left behind. Like, we're not going to be, oh, well, thanks for working. You didn't pick the right career, so good luck. We need to find a way to know that, these people are going to be supported and they're going to be able to continue to support their families, but that this is still an issue.
And that's what we call just transition, right? Like, that's exactly what it is. And so, just two things that makes me think of is one, you've been raising a lot of points on how we each have a little part to play in terms of, like, our lifestyle, our employment choices and all that. But the ability to have those choices and make those choices, that's actually like a privilege that not everyone has. And that kind of speaks to, like, first of all, within the context of the whole globe and disproportionate impacts for everyone and disproportionate access to resources. So to be a Canadian in general, a so-called Canadian, is to probably already have a higher level of privilege. But then within Canada, there's also that disparity, across Canada. So even though it's important to be able to look at, your own life and what you can change, what we need right now is system change. So, exactly like Sephora says, those people who decided to go into, resource extraction, because that's where the money is. That's where the jobs are. That's how our Canadian economy is basically a resource extractive economy. So it totally makes sense. It's not their fault that this is all happening. And they also,
they're scared.
The oil and gas sector, just like forestry and fishing and all that, the jobs are getting worse, less pay.
Yeah.
So they're just as impacted by, this kind of collapse of our natural world and our economy. And so, that's why we really like some of these plans that focus on what is a just transition like, because everyone deserves to have, like, basic human needs met. Like, so, shelter, food, and clean water, and then going out from there. And we are at a place where even within Canada, that, that's not a guarantee at all, depending on where you live and, the impacts of some of these places where some people have been profiting very much for this extraction, while others, have the highest cancer rates that, you can see across Canada because they live adjacent to some of these places. So the way we're doing things, we need to change systematically, because it's not good for all of us, and it's not good in the long run for any of us, period.
Well, and I see, again, it's people that are, mad about these changes and all that. But again, like I said earlier, they're scared. They're scared they're not going to be able to support their family. And we absolutely need to make sure that, within our systematic change and our environmental change, we need to make sure that these people are supported and they're, they know that at the end, like, this change needs to happen, and it needs to happen, as soon as possible. There's a sense of urgency. So we need to develop, kind of ways that they know that, they'll have a job.
We got them. Yeah. Exactly. Like, we need the government to say, we got you.
Exactly.
That's what environmental leadership is all about too. It's like, there's some within our systems, and not to get too political, but there's some within our systems that play these opposing forces against each other, and that just continues to keep us in the position we're in today, when in fact we all should be recognizing we're on the same team. But it's harder to do that, and it's also you know, there are going to be disagreements, and it is hard to totally change a way of life. But that's why, again, we can't be relying on the people who are having their livelihoods taken away to have the responsibility